Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Ashwin Kaliander. I am the founder of Charity Game Master. Let me give you a quick backstory on who I am. I am a fourth year medical student from Nova Southeastern College of Osteopathic Medicine, and I'm here to talk to you today about Charity Game Master, which is the product I've come up with, and just go into detail with regards to the concepts that we're going to be talking about, okay? So there's a lot covered in the white paper, and I think that this is going to be a very nice conceptual summary of everything that's going to be discussed. As you go through the site, you're going to see the animations that I came up with and the video walkthroughs, and hopefully that should also serve as a guide to help you understand what exactly Charity Game Master is, what CGM World is, and what the CGM Universe is, which I haven't really talked about, and I'm just going to hint at in this lecture because that's to come. All right? So, we've got Charity Game Master. As you can see, our logo is kind of unique. It's a heart with a gaming symbol. It's basically like a heart that's been turned into a game. The reason behind that is a little backstory here. I'm the world champion of hand walking. I've walked more than 50 miles on my hands for charity, and that was what the impetus was for the first of the 5 concepts that I'm going to be going through with you today. So the charity wallet, or what puts the charity in Charity Game Master, is something that has not much to do with the game itself, but rather is going to be a recipient of the processes that we're going to be talking about. Okay? So, what is a charity wallet and how does it work? The charity wallet is interesting. This was the impetus for its creation. So what I'm drawing right now is me walking on my hands. Go. Alright. So like I said, I've walked on my hands for lots of charities, and I would always raise money for, let's say, something like breast cancer. But the thing that scared me about whenever I was raising money was that it was always just this black box. I would raise money for charity, I'd go hand walking 8 hours on my hands at a time, and they'd say, good job, you did such a positive thing, you really helped a lot of people out, but I would never know where exactly the money went after that. And I was like, geez. It was kind of demotivating one day when I walked for a certain charity that I found out keeps 80% of its profits for itself and then gives 20% of its profits out to veterans. And that actually made me a little mad. And what I learned from that experience was that there needs to be a better solution to this. So I obviously turned to the blockchain. I've been in the cryptocurrency investing space for the last 2 years, and I've seen the highs and I've seen the lows. And one thing that I valued more than just cryptocurrency was the blockchain technology itself and its ability to keep people honest and ensure that the money goes from point A to point B. So let's talk about the charity wallet and how it can act like a payment pathway system. So now instead of a black box, imagine that I do a fundraiser for veteran amputees. So next year in April, I actually want to hand walk the Boston Marathon on my hands, 26 miles, to raise $700 million for veteran amputees. That's actually that's one major impetus for the creation of the system, because I wanted to make sure that when I raise money, it would go to the actual people who it needs to get to. So let's see how this works and how it actually helps the company grow as a whole. So we've got the charity wallet. Charity wallet. Looks like a wallet, so I'm not going to write the words out. And now we have a network of recipients. Pretty sure I spelled that right. So, in order to become a network recipient of the charity wallet, otherwise called a CNR, and become one of the many subsidiaries of the charity wallet. So, I do a hand walk, money goes to the charity wallet, it's stored on there, and then it goes out to each individual who's a member of the CNR network on the blockchain. What I want to do in the spirit of decentralization is have the community vote every month, or maybe every 2 months, on what charities we're going to be helping and what causes we're going to be helping. So let's go back to breast cancer. If I'm going to be raising money for breast cancer this month, if we, the Charity Game Master ecosystem, are going to be raising money for breast cancer this month, the community will vote. We'll have, do you want to raise money for breast cancer, multiple sclerosis, veterans, homeless children, what do you want to raise money for? So if, let's say the community votes on breast cancer for this month. So So we have selected breast cancer. So now what we're going to have is a series of network recipients who are part of the charity network. So they're CNR, and the way you verify identity is that the person has to fill out a KYC, talk about their history, give us a full bio, and essentially say, for instance, hi, my name is Grace, I'm 37 years old, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I am undergoing chemotherapy currently at St. John's Hospital. So that's something that you would do. So let's just look at that case. So it would be Grace, age 37. And now, when someone comes in and donates on the blockchain to the charity wallet, they can see directly the wallet addresses and identities of the individuals who are recipients. So you can say, oh, cool, it went to Grace, 37 years old, or it went to Abigail, and it went to Caroline. So you know that you've helped individuals this month. You directly know who's benefited from the charity wallet thanks to the power of the immutable ledger. This is something that's pretty cool, but it only solves one problem. It solves the problem of making sure, yes, money goes from point A to point B without a third party, without a nebulous third party or a black box which ends up sucking in the majority of funds. So yes, this creates accountable charity on the blockchain. But what is the impetus to donate? Because I actually have hand-walked once for Relay for Life from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. to raise money for charity at Nova Southeastern University, and there were donors there that night who could have donated a lot more money than they actually ended up donating. And that's just human nature. Why would we give beyond our means? If we gave beyond our means, what would be left for us as human beings? So that's more of a philosophical question, and one I strive to master the concept of, and that's why I came up with that idea of game master, so charity game master. So I've explained what the charity wallet is. Now I'm going to talk about a series of economic forces, rather like an ecosystem, which drives money to the user upon their donation. So if you give, then you can receive from the system that I've created. So it's going to be pretty interesting, and I can't wait to talk about it. It's actually points 3 and 4 on our lecture, which is going to be CGM Gamer and the voter raffle system, which are the driving economics concepts behind Charity Game Master. There's a lot more to it than those two things, but in terms of the economy of the coin itself and the ecosystem of what we're creating at the moment, that's what I'm happy with showing right now. So I've covered the concept of the charity wallet. I'm going to be erasing this point. POSEV and coin allocation. So what is POSEV? POSEV is proof of. So POSEV is going to be proof of stability, equity, and value. So what is that? Stability. Every CGM investment is going to be backed 50% by stable cryptocurrencies. So that means that, let's say, one CGM token equals $1. And let's say that you purchase 1 million units. So you buy 1 million CGM. What do we do for you? When you buy 1 million CGM, we take $500,000 as profit. So we took 500K USD as our profit, and that helps us run as a company. But what we do for you is that we take the other half of your investment and we distribute it across stable coins. So some of those stable coins are True USD. That one's gained prominence recently. So we're going to talk about True USD. There's one that I'm looking forward to coming out in June, which is called 1 gram, which is a gold-backed cryptocurrency. And there are others that, as they emerge on the market, I will allocate a portion of the 500K investment across those funds. So essentially, we are freezing $500,000 of our potential profit and keeping it in your name. And the reason why we're doing that is because tomorrow, let's say the price of CGM unfortunately crashes to 20 cents. So now your 1 million units of CGM are still 1 million units of CGM, but now they're worth 200K, depreciated value. So here's the cool part. As long as you haven't sold more than a certain percentage of CGM tokens, because one thing that a market maker could do is take advantage of the generosity of what I'm about to describe and start pushing the price down in order to fall below a certain threshold and then buying back in and going and receiving the benefit that I'm about to tell you. So as long as you haven't sold more than a certain percentage of CGM, what you can do is that you can come to us and have a smart contract where we say, essentially, if you give us back your 1 million units, aka your $200,000 worth of CGM, which is, so you have to have the 1 million units in full. If you give us back the 1 million units of CGM, we will give you your 500K of USD, which was locked up in true USD, 1 gram, and the other stable cryptocurrencies. So we basically held half your investment for you. So that way, even if the market crashes unexpectedly, if you're not comfortable with the product, you can always just at least leave with half your investment intact, which is more than what most investments or cryptocurrencies can offer, or are offering currently, I should say. So that's the concept of stability. Now, equity. What is proof of equity? Proof of equity is a very cool concept. This is blockchain equity. So it's not equity ownership in the company, it's equity ownership in blockchain payments. So equity means that when someone is using our site processes, so let's say there's a gamer wallet, a raffle wallet, or a talent wallet. These are different wallets that I'll be talking about. Then a small percentage of the revenue that goes into these wallets will actually be allocated to two sources. One is to the charity wallet, and one is to the equity wallet. And the equity wallet will pay out people who hold equity in CGM. So individuals who hold equity in CGM are basically going to be getting a nice passive income stream or revenue generation. And that is how this concept works with regards to proof of equity. So we got proof of stability, proof of equity, and now we're going to talk about proof of value. Proof of value is one of my favorite topics because essentially it allows me to unleash my creativity. Now, unlike equity, which solely benefits individuals who are buying the CGM assurance packages off of charitygamemaster.com, the proof of value concept will actually help all CGM holders in our universe. So, I imagine CGM as kind of a nexus token. A token that's at the center of all the creative ideas that me and the rest of the team are going to come up with. So there's quite a few, and I'm not really going to go into too much detail about them until we get CGM itself up and running. So, essentially, here's a couple of the tokens that we're coming up with. SLDR, DDRM, and FIRE. So these are a couple of members of the CGM universe that we've already fully mapped out and we have white papers written for. But suffice to say, Soldier Token has something to do with keeping responsible gun ownership. DDRM, Data Dream, has something to do with putting an escrow on the blockchain. And Firestorm Token has something to do with, well, that's actually a pretty cool idea, so I'm not going to talk about that one. But essentially how it works is like this. All these tokens are going to have a hard cap. However, we're going to pre-mine a small percentage of these and set them aside or allocate them for CGM wallet holders. So we got a pre-mine percentage. And as we come out with these tokens, Yes, they're going to have either, maybe they could be proof of work or proof of stake or proof of shell casing, but there will always be some set aside for people who hold CGM. And what will happen is every month, a small percentage of these tokens, which we pre-mine, will be going to this wallets of all CGM holders. So that means if you're holding CGM, one day when we rolled out Soldier token, you're going to be like, wow, I had 100,000 CGM, and now it says that I have 1,000 Soldier tokens. That's kind of interesting. What are Soldier tokens? And then you can click and you can learn more and learn about the expanding universe. And as we add coins to this universe, CGM will grow more powerful. And each coin will have a different technology. It'll all have a unique use case. My job with CGM that I view as a responsible member of the cryptocurrency community is not just to help charity and not just to help people who invested in CGM grow, but it's to also help increase awareness about blockchain itself. So I would like to do a tour de force of all cryptocurrency concepts and technologies that are on the market at the moment. So going to Hyperledger, going to Hashgraph, going to proof of work, going to public permission versus public permissionless, and expose the world to an entire universe of tokens, which is born from my mind, but at the same time does due diligence and justice to the different concepts and values that are espoused by different members of the cryptocurrency community, whether it's from the hyper-centralization aspect or the ultimate decentralization aspect. I would like to just show people what all of those things are. So proof of stability, equity, and value, COSEP. I'm going to erase this concept. Now, coin allocation, CGM itself, let me just talk about it real quick. There will be 65 million coins. There will be 25 million held by the team. However, these are going to be held in lockup contracts, so we can't sell them. And we can't sell them at more than a certain rate per year. So we got a percentage rate sell. And these are actually tied to our equity. So there's a direct correlation between coins and equity. And since I just said that equity is going to be a major drive, blockchain equity, not company equity, is going to be a major driving economic factor in the way things work, it would behoove us to not sell our coins, because if we sell our coins, we lose the equity. Furthermore, we're going to make this a rather adversarial relationship in the sense that if we ever, and this keeps us honest, if we ever sell our equity, if we ever sell more than 50% of our coins, we lose all the equity that was allocated to us, and it's turned over to the member of the communities and is distributed randomly across the entire CGM community. So the CGM team, if any member of our team ever sells more than 50% of their coins, that will be turned over to you, the audience. So 25 million locked up and tied to equity. So that is accounted for. Next one, we have 15 million. This is available on charitygamemaster.com. So we have 15 million tokens available on charitygamemaster.com. This is going to be kind of interesting. These 15 million tokens are basically available for purchase from the site. So if you come to the site and you say, I want to buy tokens, they immediately buy tokens instantly from us, and that's how that works. All right. Now, as CGM itself might be trading on exchanges, you can obviously have the other 25 million tokens. So 25 million tokens will be sold throughout the course of both the ICO, and a portion will be sold during a pre-sale. So that's where the 25 million tokens are going to get sold. CGM Gamer is very interesting. It has a very unique concept which solves a couple of problems regarding randomization of skill-based gaming and cross-border payments. So what is that and how does it work? Essentially, right now, let's say yes, I am on my feet this time and not on my hands. Let's say I play a match with someone in India. So I'm playing a match with someone in India, and we have some money on the line. playing Fortnite, and we have 10K on the match, and I suddenly lose the match, and the money goes over to the winner. So what ends up occurring is something that's not necessarily the best for me in the US. I could actually get accused of laundering money. So to add insult to injury, to add injury to insult, not only did I just lose 10K, but the US government could tell me that, hey, you laundered money across borders. And technically I did, because what if I just threw that match? Then I did launder money. So I wanted to solve this in a really interesting manner that did not involve gambling. Because yes, you could randomize it and make it a large-scale betting pool, and then you would eliminate the concept of being accused of gambling, of transferring money across borders illegally. And the way you can do it properly in that case, if you want to randomize, is of course you have a roll of dice. This is all based on traditional methods. You could flip a coin. You could play blackjack. There's so many things that you could do which is non-skill based, or has an element of chance in it, I should say instead, saying non-skill based. Things that have element of chance will obviously make it through the concept or accusation of money laundering, because you don't know who the winner is going to be. However, what happens if you can make it so that way it's skill based and randomized? And that is what CGM Gamer offers. So what occurs with CGM Gamer is you have a 24-hour leaderboard. And this is something that can resurrect every single old game that was used to be played when you were growing up and is now unpopular. So let's just talk about things that are from the old days, like Tetris or Pac-Man. So these are some of the older games. Snake. Alright. So the way this works is going to be kind of interesting. You have a 24-hour leaderboard system, and you go in and you play these different games, and these games have internal smart contracts that determine individual wagers. So let's say you're playing Pac-Man, then we're going to have a wallet dedicated to Pac-Man Chaos. So this is called a gamer wallet. And what you do is you have 24 hours, so you have the upper 51st percentile, and then you have the bottom 50th percentile. So now, let's say that you have 200 players today. So it's 24 hours, you have 200 players. Everyone plays, and over the course of 24 hours, 100 people fall in the 50th percentile to the 99th percentile. And 100 people fall in the 49th percentile to the 0th percentile. So imagine that each of these games, you can play multiple games, you can play as many games as you want, but each game acts as an individual wager. So now imagine that there was $1 played, $1 on each game played. So this is what occurs with the payment system. So again, the game is Pac-Man, so here's what occurs. At the end of 24 hours, hang on. At the end of 24 hours, so you hit 0 hours, the money goes from the losing individual's addresses to something called the gamer wallet. And from here, a percentage is paid out to, I know we have numbers discussed in the white paper, but as we evolve and adapt as a company and as a coin, we want to obviously play with the numbers to make sure that we optimize this. So I'm only going to talk about the concept. A percentage is going to go, a high percentage is going to go to the winners up top at a 1-to-1 ratio. So basically, if you have $1 worth of CGM at stake, and you got the top score in Pac-Man, then you could be walking away with $1.90 worth of CGM. Now the cool part is, as our revenue stream grows, then, and as our user adoption rate grows, CGM that you win is going to become more valuable, so that actually could make the price of what you're cashing out with even larger than what you came in with. So that's always a nice thing to look forward to. However, the system itself is set up so that way it's essentially like a coin toss, which is governed by skill on whether you land face up or face down. So that's how this system works. Now, another portion of funds goes to the charity wallet. Now, you might just think that, oh man, why go to the charity wallet if you're not of the philanthropic bent, you might wonder, and the other portion goes obviously to the equity wallet. So you might wonder, why go to the charity wallet? Because at the end of the day, the name of the game is mass adoption. So how do you get people to adopt your coin? The easiest way to get anyone to do anything when it comes to adopting your product is to just pay them. Say, hey, if you have type 1 diabetes and the type of network that we are supporting for the next 2 months is type 1 diabetes, then just sign up on our network, register as a user on charitygamemaster.com, and receive a CNR wallet, and we will basically just pay you out. So what happens is we're getting user adoption. But here's the cool part. If you want to start getting money back into the ecosystem because the money is being funneled out, that's also very easy to do. You could make it so that way before the individual can receive the charity wallet, they have to watch a few ads. So now the individual is basically going to be receiving a large sum of payment from the system, but they just have to watch a couple of ads before that. And now here is where Charity Game Master's soft power can increase and how we can help the community as a whole. Being in the cryptocurrency space for the last 2 years, I have seen a lot of coins with good potential. So imagine in this system, if Stellar Lumens or Omisco or a couple of other awesome coins with awesome projects came in front of us and said, or Ethereum of course. So imagine if these coins came in front of us and said, hey, we want to put our ads on your site because currently there's a blanket media ban on cryptocurrency ads. So they really can't market their ads anywhere. So we're coming to them and saying, hey, look, we appreciate you as a coin, and we like what you've done for the cryptocurrency space, so we'd like you to have more face time. So now we have these individuals who have never known anything about cryptocurrency in their lives receiving money from the Charity Game wallet, and now they get to watch ads which aren't about, Tide detergent or some type of car that you can buy, and instead they're going to be watching ads about cryptocurrency. So when you watch those ads, you learn, what's Stellar Lumens, what's Zencash, what's Pivx, what's Dash, Fab Fountainera, what are those things? So when you watch those things, you will basically learn about the different cryptocurrencies in the space which are prominent or have good projects. So what that does is the money from that ad revenue will go back to us, and it can also be used to fund the voter raffle wallet, which I'm going to talk to you about in a second. So the charity wallet can actually be used to fund the voter raffle wallet. It's going to be a very cool concept, and I'm going to talk about that right now. All right, so now let's talk about the voter raffle system. The voter raffle system essentially takes the concept of likes or upvotes and monetizes it on both ends. So if you were tipping someone or liking someone or upvoting them for your comment and giving them your own money in previous models, this actually will take another portion of your funds or money and enter you into a lottery system, which essentially gives you a chance to get higher revenue as well out of it. So it's kind of cool. The voter raffle system is essentially the foundations for lottery-powered social media. So let me just talk about it right now real quick. All right, voter raffle system. How does that work? So we've got ERS. I'm going to really just touch quickly on Ohana because it's the easiest way to explain the concept. So here's Ashwin, founder of CGM Interview, and here's my friend Xander, who's a co-founder. All right. So it's Xander's birthday. So because it's Xander's birthday, I want to give him a like or an upvote. Now let me talk about, so I do, and that's going to be 4.5 cents worth of CGM going to Xander. Let me talk about what just happened, because 4.5 cents worth of CGM goes to Xander, and then 13.5 cents goes into the lottery system. And the lottery system essentially creates a self-perpetuating money loop where at the end of 14 days, what ends up occurring is that on each of these bounces, there was money coming into the system through a cash influx of ad revenue generated from individuals who were watching ads on the charity wallet in order to receive the money from the charity wallet. So it truly becomes a symbiotic ecosystem with no takers. And let me talk about how all this works. So first of all, what is the anatomy of an upload? Here's what the anatomy of an upload is. When a user purchases an upload from the site, purchases an upload from the site, in order to enter the lottery system, they have to be kind to others. So basically, give and you shall receive. You've got 1 cent worth of CGM in 2 segments. You have the raffle system, and then you have the like or the upload. So the whole thing is called an upload. And here's how it works. When you purchase an upload from the site, 1 cent goes to the equity wallet, meaning it's distributed across equity holders, meaning us. So that's taken care of, right? And now what happens to this cent? This cent goes to the charity wallet. And in order for someone to access the charity wallet and receive their funds, they have to watch an ad, and that ad goes back into the lottery wallet. We're going to talk about that in a second. So it goes to the charity wallet. And now we have the raffle system and you have a like. So the like is worth 4.5 cents right now because an entire upload is worth 20 cents. So we have 2 cents gone for the system. So the raffle wallet is going to be worth 13.5 cents and the like is worth 4.5 cents. Now when you like someone, when you like Xander's post, he basically receives that money for free. That's his money, that's his CGM. And once you give someone a like, it frees up the raffle, and now the raffle is free to enter the lottery system. The lottery system is pretty cool to explain, and it's going to be pretty simple. So now we take Xander out of the picture, and we take this out of the picture, and we're left with the actual lottery. So how does the lottery work? The lottery gives you a 50% chance of winning every day for 14 days. And it lasts like this. So you voted on Monday, you're going to last till Monday, 14 days later. And it works in this manner. So let's say 1R is equal to $1. I know it's worth 13.5 cents, but it makes it easy to explain here. So you have $4 worth in this raffle ticket. We could pay this out in 1 day and say 50% of you are going to walk away here with $2. However, that breaks the nice little economic system that I have set up. So instead of allowing you to immediately get, allowing 50% of the users to immediately get access to their wallet, we set them up into a system where every day there's a small percentage of payout, where R is now worth 90 cents, and the next day R is worth 80 cents, because we're only paying out like 10 cents a day. So that way you come in and you check to see how much you won every single day. It's a tiny amount. And the reason why we do that is because in order to see how much you won the next day, you have to watch a little ad, which is going to be a cryptocurrency ad. So when you watch that cryptocurrency ad, the money, part of it goes back to the equity wallet, which is it's dispersed amongst all the equity holders, and the other part goes into the raffle wallet and makes the system itself richer. So you're adding money to the system. So yes, before there was 90 cents in the wallet, but because the ad paid out, let's say 20 cents, now you're actually back up from 90 cents, let's say you give it 10, so you're actually back up to $1 again. And then you pay out 10 cents again. So basically, this is actually a compounding function where every single day, yes, there is a net rate of depreciation, but there's also a rate of appreciation. So at the end of 14 days, there's quite a substantial amount of money which has been held up or locked away into the raffle system wallet. And at the end, on the last of the 14 days, you get a massive payout where all the the majority of ad revenue which you've been collecting inside that raffle wallet will be paid out to 50% of the users, which is pretty nice. And in the meantime, every single time that the user was seeing how much they won that day, they're clicking the ad, which is fueling equity and fueling them. So all of us passive holders of CGM are also receiving funds on the network. So that is how the motor raffle system works. Now, basically, the takeaway from that is that if you end up spending $1,000 worth of CGM on likes and raffles, at the end of the day, you have a 50% chance in the next 14 days of walking away with $2,000 worth of CGM, which is pretty cool. You just flip a coin and the outcome is determined. However, there's also a case of ad revenue times 14 being poured into the system. So you could potentially walk away with, let's say, $2,900 worth of CGM. And not to mention, if the ad revenue was coming into the site and then being converted into CGM and then getting paid to the CGM holders, then the circulating supply of CGM starts reducing, so that makes the value rise as well. So this could actually be what each CGM itself might be worth more, which would make the value here go up. So it's a pretty nice ecosystem, and I basically explained that concept. So we're going to be getting rid of the voter raffle system and then talking about the 4 unique platforms that we're going to start out with. Well, we're actually not going to start out with all 4. We're going to start out with Gamer, and as we grow as a company and as a community, we will unveil Think Big, Vision, and Ohana. So let's talk about, I already spoke about Gamer, but let's talk about Think Big. So CGM Think Big, Think Big, there we go. So what is CGM Think Big? CGM Think Big is a great idea. It's one of my favorite ideas, to be honest, because out of the other ideas that I came up with, Think Big really captured who I was, and if CGM takes off, I'm probably going to be on Think Big every day myself, because what we're going to be doing is having categories. We're going to have categories for short stories. No one really wants to read long stories, music, poetry, and written rap. And lastly, we're going to have a category, so short stories, music, poetry, rap, and artwork. There we go. Always forget the last one. So we got short stories, music, poetry, and art. What occurs? Well, essentially, imagine that you're an artist on the network. You are going to submit or upload your content. So that content can be, let's say it's art. So you upload a drawing. It's a nice little drawing of Dragon Ball Z over there. So you upload that, and basically it works based off the voter raffle system. You upload your content under the art section, and people can come and view your artwork. If they like what you drew and it's original content, they can upvote you, and basically you would be getting 4.5 cents worth of CGM every day annually for the rest of your life just for uploading your content. So it's a pretty nice system, and then the individual is incentivized to upvote you, because when they do that, they get entered into the lottery system, which basically gives them a statistically almost 100% chance of at least walking away with their initial principal for each like. By the way, you can only like a post once, obviously, because that would get in the way of what we're about to say. So they can either upvote, or they have another option. So yes, the artist can receive upvotes per one click per person, or they could win money in another way. And that is that every single artist, so Art 1, Art 2, Art 3, all enter their submissions, whether it's one submission or whether it's 100 submissions. They enter each submission, which costs $5 worth of CGM, into something called the CGM Talent Competition, or the CGM Talent Wallet. So the CGM Talent Wallet is pretty interesting. Here's how it works. The money from each of these upvotes, the money from each of these submissions enters the CGM Talent Wallet. From there, obviously, a percentage is going to go out to the charity wallet, as always, and a percentage is going to go out to the equity wallet. And then the charity wallet will pay out recipients, will then like ads, which will pay back the voter raffle system. So everything is self-perpetuating and contained in that system. Now, let's talk about what occurs here. it goes to the CGM Talent Wallet. So now let's say that across all categories, so short stories, music, poetry, rap, art, we have accumulated $100,000 worth of CGM. It's a good amount of money. So how do you win that money? The way you win the $100,000 worth of CGM is pretty fun. Essentially, it's going to get partitioned into 4. Because there are 4 competing segments on our site, the money is obviously going to be split into 4 places as well. So now, how do you become a winner of the artwork, music, short story, or poetry categories? The way it works is that if you have the most upvotes in your category at the end of a 14-day cycle, then what will occur is that you will be listed as winner. So that's why it's good potentially to submit multiple submissions, so that way you have more than one chance of winning. And remember, it's the owner, each submission is considered a deposit address, and since they're all coming from the same wallet, if you get chosen as the winner by the community, then you're going to receive payment regardless of which submission you won. So let's say you won in the artwork category, you're going to get 25% of the $100,000 worth of CGM, which is going to be $25,000 worth of CGM. So congratulations. And that is how the CGM Talent Wallet works. Now, the nice part about this is that the next concept I'm going to talk about, vision, is almost exactly the same as Think Big, except for videos. And the reason why I wanted to separate CGM Vision and Think Big from each other was because I was kind of scared that the potency of video making and content creation would kind of smother the rather artistic side of making of drawings and arts and humanities and written work, essentially. So I wanted to kind of separate the 2 elements from each other, so that way one didn't accidentally overpower the other. However, vision is a very interesting concept as well. So vision, take googly eyes, binoculars. The way vision works is pretty fun. The community every month will determine what genres are competing for that month. So let's say that we have 4 competing genres: action, comedy, romance, and sci-fi. So the community will say that all videos which are in the categories of action, comedy, romance, or sci-fi are now eligible to enter in the CGM Talent Competition for this month. So for the month of May, everyone is going to be action, comedy, romance, or sci-fi, and it's the same concept as Think Big. You basically can upload your content, even if it's in a different category, and just receive passive revenue by getting upvotes from people liking your vote, from people liking your submissions. Or you can actually, since this month is May, we can have action, comedy, romance, and sci-fi get listed, and now you can enter your submissions for $5 worth of CGM into the CGM Talent Competition, and you have action, comedy, romance, sci-fi. And if you become the winner, if you get the most upvotes from day 1 to day 14 of the 14-day cycle. So if you had 1 million upvotes before then, it doesn't really count. It only counts how many votes you get from day 1 until the end of the cycle. If you get the most upvotes in your time frame, then what ends up occurring is that you will win the allocated funds for 25% of the money in the CGM Talent Wallet. Now, what does that mean though? So if you're in a competition and you get second place and you don't win this talent wallet, does that mean that you really lost? No, because you still got the second highest number of upvotes. So imagine you got 100,000 upvotes, which is 4.5 cents per upvote. That's a good amount of money. So even if you have second place or third place, you're still a winner. Ohana is a social media platform that I designed based off of the voter raffle system, which is essentially a lottery-powered, ad revenue-funded network, which also promotes other cryptocurrencies in the space, which are doing good work in the community. Here's how Ohana works. I chose Ohana as a symbol because, just like they say in Lilo and Stitch, Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. I kind of want us as a cryptocurrency community to come together and grow, so that way we no longer have to ingratiate ourselves with existing power structures in society and instead create our own. So we have Ohana. And Ohana is going to offer a lot of things that certain social media platforms don't. Chief amongst them is freedom of thought and not forcing a certain narrative down individuals' throats, whether they want it or not. It's going to provide news in an unbiased manner, or rather in a clearly labeled biased manner, which we'll get into in a second. It's going to provide news, I should say. So we have news over here, whether it's politics or local or global, or it's going to be sports-based news or news in science. And it's going to have a place for your friends. There we are. It's going to have a place for groups. And lastly, so you have friends, you have groups, you have news, and you're going to have something called Brain Boost. Here's our brain, cool. So you have friends, news, groups, and Brain Boost. How does it work? Friends is very simple. Like I said, it's Xander's birthday. I like his post. I upload his post. He gets money. I get some of my money taken and put in the raffle system. Other portion goes to charity wallet. Other portion goes to equity holders. So friends makes perfect sense. Not much to talk about there. Groups is basically groups and pages that you're a part of on the social media platform. Again, that's a pretty simple concept. Brain Boost is one of my personal favorites because how it works is cool. You literally just go on to Brain Boost and you can learn about different concepts. Like you can learn about blockchain technology, or you can learn about different subjects or content that we've curated for you, such as science, chemistry, biology, or literature. And you can just work your way through each of the lessons, and every time you're going to watch a lesson, you just click an ad. So we basically compile the amount of money that you made in the ad from watching going through every single lesson, and at the end of it, we basically give you your ad revenue. So that's pretty nice, and we'll also give you personal CGM from our own holdings as well. So that's what Brain Boost is. It's an opportunity to earn money and increase your intellect. News is one of my favorite concepts, and there's a lot of it. You can curate the type of news that you have, and you can say, I want to watch news that is centric on what SpaceX is doing this month. But let's talk about the way the politics works in the news system. So instead of us trying to enforce a governing central political concept, what we're going to do is we're going to take central news, which is to say no real kind of apolitical news, like it's raining today, but politics-wise. Essentially really boring news or things that don't fall on either side of the political spectrum. Then you take right news that is labeled right, and you take news that is labeled left. And you have clearly labeled bias. So these are going to contain news outlets, and you can always go with global or local news. Now, what does this do for you? If you're a user, you can come on board and essentially choose your own bias. If you say, I want to read right-wing news, you go in here and you start reading it. If you say, I want to read left-wing news, you come in here and you start reading this. If you want to read central news, you come in and you start reading news that has been overwhelmingly voted on by the community as a whole as kind of being apolitical. And that kind of wraps up the concepts that I have to talk about. That was Ohana. I talked about Think Big, Vision, and Gamer. We discussed the number of coins that are in circulation. We talked about the voter raffle system. We talked about the gaming system. We talked about the underlying motivation I had behind coming up with this idea, and the CGM universe, which is coming out as well. So I hope that that video was very explanatory, and I hope that that made sense. Thank you very much, and it was great talking to you.